Please rise if you wish for the invocation and pledge. Dear God, we have celebrated the unofficial end of summer with barbecues and gatherings, and now our thoughts go to the coming height of the hurricane season. We give thanks for your provision thus far this year. We ask that the storms continue to turn north, steered by systems that protect land, including Florida. As we recall that many in our community are still working through the damage they incurred during Milton last year, we ask for grace and protection this season. As we consider the matters before us this evening, grant us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that we may make the best decisions for those who have entrusted us to represent them. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This is the regular City Council meeting for the month of September. Those of you who have attended meetings before will see that our order is a little different. This is by Florida statute. We are finishing up the budget season, and the vote that we take tonight on the resolution regarding millage and the budget resolution must be the first matters on the agenda by state statute. So, City Clerk, would you do roll call, please?
Councilmember Sell.
Here.
Councilmember Papalardo.
Here.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Here.
Mayor Chazet.
Here.
Vice Mayor Butlin.
Here. The first public hearing that we have is the city manager is requesting the city council adopt resolution number 2025-13 to set the tentative millage rate of 3.6500 for the collection of ad valorem taxes for fiscal year 2025 to 2026. This tentative millage rate of 3.6500 is 10.82% higher than the rolled back rate of 3.2935. City Attorney, would you read resolution number 2025-13?
Yes, Mayor. Resolution number 2025-13, a resolution of the City of DeBary, Volusia County, Florida, adopting a tentative millage rate for the levy of ad valorem taxes for fiscal year 2025 through 2026 on all taxable property located within the City of DeBary, Florida, setting a final budget hearing date and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. City Manager, are you doing the budget presentation?
Yes, Mayor, I am. We'll go through the highlights. This is our third presentation on the budget, and I'll cover the highlights in a little expeditious manner than we have during the workshop and during the two workshops before. As you can see with our process there, tonight is our tentative millage and budget, and our final millage and budget is September 17th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. So we always like to show our history. When we became a city in 1993, our millage rate was 2.83 mills, and what we're recommending for this year's budget is 3.65 mills. Over 31 years, our millage rate has gone up less than 1 mill over 31 years. As you can see there, we've been pretty consistent, and the times that we have gone up on our millage rate have been for businesses purposes and business reasons. And last year, we went up because we doubled our fire services that are necessary because of our population growth. And this year, we have some capital and legal services issues that we'll go through. But over a 31-year period, a remarkable record that our city has gone up less than 1 mill in 31 years. Obviously, we show this particular slide to put in perspective our millage rate. This is our West Volusia market. Again, at 3.65 mills, we are 42% less than DeLand and 46% less than Deltona and Orange City. That means that if in the same valued house you move to DeBary, you would save on your city taxes 42% and 46% less than our neighboring West Volusia communities. Our median income is up over the last 6 years, 52%, and we're the second highest in West Volusia and third highest in Volusia. As you can see here, our stormwater rate remained the same at $160 on a public street, $80 for private. And what you can see there is all the other West Volusia cities have, this year, have really escalated their stormwater to come up to the city of DeBerry's standards because of all the flooding they had in those cities. And you can see on the right-hand side, if you live in DeBerry and our average taxable value home is $199,857, that you can see that your city taxes is about 40% less than everybody else in West Volusia. A little bit different perspective. As in the previous workshops, I provided a forecast of what our millage rate is, and when a forecast over a 5-year period. We see that our commercial is coming in on the southern part, and as it gets developed, then you will see a trickle down. These 2 particular years are really important to get the infrastructure in. A little bit different approach than our traditional governments, simply because they wait till the commercial comes in and they try to get the infrastructure in afterwards. We're trying to get our infrastructure in place before the commercial gets in, and then we'll trickle down the millage rate, and that's my prediction over the next 3 to 4 years. In yellow, you see there is our West Volusia partners. This is the millage rate of every city in Volusia County. We are the lowest millage rate in all of Volusia County by far. Ormond Beach is 25% higher than we are. And down there in the yellow, you see our West Volusia partners. It's kind of unique that West Volusia is on the bottom of the list, our partners, and their millage rate is nearly double the city of DeBerry. So we talked about some of our issues. Our personnel, we're recommending a 3% salary increase. And on the right there, you'll see the survey we did with all of our cities in Volusia County, and they range from 3% to 5%. In public safety, not many people know that we are the safest city in Central Florida. In our August 2025 CompStat report, the sheriff reported our case clearance rate at 88%. And that's what we use to create deterrence. We like to say that if you're going to commit a crime in DeBerry, 88% chance you're going to jail. And so with that, our law enforcement contract is increasing by 8.1%. Again, with our sheriff, we only pay for salary, benefits, our portion for IT, and fleet. And so our contract is going from $4.31 million to $4.67 million. We're maintaining the same level of service. We do have a little money in there for facility maintenance to paint the facility. It has been painted in 10 years. And then to enhance our LPR program as well. The other part of public safety is fire services. As you know, we're opening the station this month, later this month or beginning of October. The fire union for Orange City, we contract to Orange City, are going through labor negotiations. We predicted a $300,000 labor increase. And in fact, with the labor negotiation, they notified us, as we indicated in the workshop last month, that we needed to add another $118,000 to cover the labor negotiations in Orange City. Their salary increases are going to be over 10%. For firefighters in Orange City. We did get a higher water vehicle surplus from the Department of Forestry. It didn't cost us anything, but we do have to convert it, and so there's money in the budget to convert that high water. It's a reflection of our problem-solving techniques. During Hurricane Milton, we did have high water issues. We captured this opportunity from the surplus from the Department of Forestry. And for a little bit of money, we'll have a vehicle that will be able to serve the residents better and serve our staff better so they don't have to drive vehicles in high water situations. We have something that will be able to rescue residents and be able to get to our pumping stations that are underwater. And then the equipment request, we talked about the fire truck, 31 months from the order to get a fire truck. And we put a process in place where we don't have to borrow money. As you know, we don't like to borrow money. Matter of fact, three more years, I think we're going to be debt-free as a city. And so With 31 months before we get the fire truck, we can carry it over for 3 budget cycles without having to borrow money. And so this is our plan that we've decided through our workshops that serves the city well. The $200,000 will come out of the general fund reserves. It's a one-time payment to get the order in process and wait 31 months to get it. We do have some impact this year for legal services, and you can see the potential lawsuits there with the Berry Plantation Community Association, Volusia County Schools, the Bank of America property foreclosure, and obviously the traffic studies that we need to get done with our subject matter experts. We do have additional expenses with the county, the House Bill 479, and the mobility plan agreements that are coming with the developments in the TOD. This is the Parks and Rec equipment and projects that we've talked about, and we did get an ECHO grant of $110,000 towards our pickleball courts, so it's a 50% savings there, and some of the other projects that we need to get done because of old air conditioning systems and the fire monitoring system is just old and needs to be repaired. We also talked about in Parks and Rec our Alexander Island startup costs. This is one of our major projects opening hopefully in September 2026. It will require 2 additional employees and some of the equipment, everything else to operate and maintain the Alexander Island once we get it open. And we'll talk a little bit more we can talk a little bit more about how that's progressing. Our Public Works, we did put the road resurfacing. We did do an adjustment down to $768,000. However, that's still $70,000 more than our current year. As you can see on our agenda item tonight, our current year road resurfacing is $698,000. And we're just getting some estimates for our gas revenues, and they may be up a little bit. And so if they are, we'll add to this road resurfacing. We just got some information today that our gas revenues might be up. So if that does, then we'll add it to the road resurfacing necessary. Certain gas tax revenues can only go towards roads, and so that's where that will go. We'll be adding to that. And of course, the necessary equipment that we need for the Public Works Department. We talked about our capital projects. The Fort Florida Road upgrade is complete. The fire station is near completion. We do have the entrance construction for Alexander Island. That will start November 2025 to get the road configuration and the entrance into Alexander Island. And then the Fort Florida Road Bridge, we're right in the RFP process, but we will be starting that construction for that bridge on November 2025 to June 2026. The road will be closed. We have to do that bridge because of the FP&L's gates are a hurricane requirement to manage the level of the lake in the reservoir. It's a 1,200-acre reservoir. It's above ground. It's very important that those berms are protected. That gates releases 2,200 cubic feet per second. The channel under our bridge can only hold 400. It is an emergency safety hazard. We've been working on this project for more than 5 years. And just for a little bit of background, the project's a $2 million project. The state awarded us a $1 million grant. We got $500,000 from FP&L, and then we're putting in $500,000 as well. It's already included in our budget. It's fully funded, and we're down to the engineering is complete. Now we're down to execution of the construction. So these are the adjustments that we've made from the proposed budget. We did have some Parks and Rec folks attain their certifications, and to build proficiency, we reward them for not only working hard, but also enhancing their professional skills. And so the parks and salaries and adjustments were just recently obtained. You see the fire services contract there of the $118,000 we talked about that we had to increase over the $300,000. That's also an accounting item. We did take advantage of a mower and that we were requesting for next year. But again, it takes 9 months to get a mower. Once you order, it takes 9 months to get in. when they were delivering last year's mower, just a couple weeks ago, they had an extra mower that somebody didn't want, and we grabbed it we took it out of next year's budget. The $25,000 we added since the proposed budget because the AC units at Gateway are 17 years old, and we anticipate replacing 2 of them this year. You see the $200,000 for the fire engine, replacing, ordering that particular fire truck. You see the reduction in the road resurfacing. We think that number will be reversed when we come back on September the 17th. The interest income we adjusted from the information we got from our financial company. And so we did increase our estimated revenues on interest. And then obviously the reserves, taking the $200,000 out of the reserves, a one-time payment. And on the bottom there, I show the difference between the adjustments we made on the road resurfacing at $768,000. We're still about $70,000 more than we were current year, but then the gas tax revenues may play an adjustment, and once we refine those numbers, we'll come back on September 17th with some minor adjustments, just like you see here. So Mayor and Council, our recommendation as we work through this entire process at 3.65 mils. If you have a taxable value of $199,857, it is an increase in city taxes by $52 a year, or $4.41 a month. And so, Mayor, Council, based upon the business reasoning, the Alexander Island startup, the increase in public safety costs, the legal costs due to pending lawsuits, and the long overdue equipment needs, it is staff's recommendation that you set the tentative millage rate at 3.65, and we recommend approval of the tentative budget.
Thank you. We do have public participation. Ron Navratil, would you approach the podium, say your name and address for the record? You have 5 minutes for your comments.
Turn that on. There's a button right in front to press.
Ron Navratil, 146.
Navratil, sorry.
Navratil,
Okay.
146 Margarita Road. First time I've been at a meeting like this. It's all well and good that DeBerry is in the lower portion of the county as far as costs go, and the presentation about the budget. I know you're looking at the budget, but when I got the trim notice, I saw that a combination of the increase in millage rate plus the additional property appraiser estimate for our property, when that all is put into the DeBerry portion of the trim notice, we're going to be paying 18% more than we paid last year to DeBerry. And I looked last year, and last year we paid 18% more than the previous year. So I'm upset at that. You know, I've got to balance my budget. All of you people do too. I'm sure you're all nice people. But we've got to control our budgets. And I feel that you need to look at the costs of things, what you're trying to do with the city a little bit better, and maybe cut out some costs. I just heard you got a new assistant manager. You got an assistant mayor. Can't those positions be eliminated and therefore cut some cost? That's all I'm saying. No disrespect to anyone, but I'm paying 18% more for DeBerry, the DeBerry portion, than I did last year, which was 18% more than the previous year. And I don't think that's right. So all I ask is that you try to hold those costs down, because it doesn't look like you're doing it from where I stand. But thank you very much.
Thank you. Sir, I would tell you that the vice mayor is an elected official like I am and the rest. I make $12,000 a year, she makes $11,000 a year as the other counselors do. So I don't really think that's your budget issue. And we did have discussions about why there is an assistant city manager, something we've had in the past and did without for a bunch of years. And there was much more detail about this in the earlier hearings. I understand that, but we have to also deal with the fact that the cost for labor goes up and the cost for materials goes up. So we'll address that in staff comments. Councilmember Sell, would you have questions or comments?
I don't have any comments.
Councilmember Papalardo?
I have a couple. No new spreadsheets, Vice Mayor, I'm sorry.
Oh, shucks.
But there's something I want to go back to, some further analysis on the numbers I was looking at before. I am sensitive to the revenue item and the spending item, and it goes back to identifying why the revenues are changing and versus what parts of the budget are changing beyond our control. So number one, fire and sheriff expenses, emergency services are up $1.4 million from 2 budget years ago. That's 20.1%. That's a gigantic increase, very expensive. The millage difference, if we backed it out back to 2.9247, my former favorite number, would have been $1.15 million. Meaning, if fire and sheriff were to have been flat miraculously for 2.5 years, we would still be $250,000 short, basically. So not only, when we put this into perspective in the full budget concept, looking back at the act for things like that, not only are we keeping like services flat, we're providing all the same services, arguably a little bit more than 2 years ago. We're also adding a modular building that has to replace a very unfit trailer for our employees. We're adding a truck, lawn equipment, skid steer. And even with all that, we are finding a way to net the $250,000 favorability, all things considered. Or if everything were to have remained, if we can go back, that $250,000 is worth about 0.07 mils. It's like pennies a month per household, which is pretty minimal in the scheme of it. Not to mention on top of that, we're also leveraging a lot of other municipalities, other government entities, dollars in the form of grants, the bridge grants, ECHO, in a number of places, including Alexander Island. We're leveraging a lot of additional dollars, making our dollars go a little bit further. So it gives me a lot of heartburn to see 3.65. As I mentioned in prior meetings, I'm not super confident in the downtrend. I'm a little nervous that this is we're approaching a plateau that has to do with the increase in fire services.
Correct.
When we agreed to add the second fire station, which included a new engine, staff, we looked at the best practices for fire staffing. And we have been embarrassingly understaffed on fire based on best practices. We're about 60% of the manpower we should have, and we're missing a station. So we'll be online pretty soon, getting back up to an appropriate level of service. So that fire station increase of expenses is borderline unpalatable, but it's also the bare minimum for service. And I'm not trying to pick on anybody in the audience. I hope this is helpful for everybody. But that's kind of the environment we are approaching. And we kind of banked on a lot of budget favorability by shorting our residents the appropriate level of emergency services for going back, the population, even going back to like 2008, I think was our math. We were understaffed for over 15 years now. So we are right-sizing certain things that need to be approached to provide the proper level of service. One last item, and it's not the millage, but it's that stormwater fee. I think that needs a rework again. I wanted to mention that. I hope we workshop it in the spring. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Stevenson.
I would agree with so many things that you just said, Councilmember Papalardo. And I would also point out that as we're looking at this budget, from the amount of expenditures and the amount of revenue from last year to this year has decreased. So as mentioned, we get grants, we get funding from other government sources to try to boost our budget and make our own city tax dollars go further. But when those funds aren't available, we still have to meet our bottom line basic public safety services, our police, our fire. And I think that we have cut out a lot of miscellaneous projects that maybe were on our strategic plan that we just said we're too busy, there's too much going on, and this is outside of our budget. I would also echo, this gives me heartburn to raise our rates. We all feel it in our taxes, but it is a service to everybody that we have our roads and our public safety and our fire taken care of. So that's my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Butlin.
Thank you, Mayor. I echo what's been said on my colleagues here on the council. I, for one, have used the 911 service for several times this year with my husband. I like being able to call 911 and getting the service I'm paying for in my taxes. A lot of people don't realize that that's part of what this is all about, and that's why they're increasing that. As far as you mentioned, sir, about property tax, the property value rather, that's not something we control. If you feel that your property taxes are high, the value of it, please go to the appraiser's office and have them look at it again, because that is something that we do not control. I don't want to raise taxes. I never like them. I like my 2.9247. I've been saying that for years. Now I have to change my words, which is not easy to do. But I don't think we're doing a terrible increase compared to what other cities are charging, for the level of service that we are still able to provide with our contract services. If we had our own police department, we would never be able to be at the 3.65. It'd be way more.
It'll be way more. If we had our own fire staff, it would be way more. So the fact that we have contract services and we've been smart in doing our business that way, we are still conservative with our increase. And it's not something that we like to do, because believe me, I've gotten a lot of calls today that people go, well, don't raise my taxes, I'm a senior, this and that. And I know that we don't control Volusia County, we don't control anything but the city of DeBary. So all the other entities is something that you're going to have to go to council, go to the appraiser's office, and have them look at everyone's taxes, if that's how you feel. I am comfortable with the 3.65, and I'm hoping that we can go back down over the years once we get more commercial in our main street, because that's something that's in the future, and that will help us establish. But again, with that comes more services that we're going to need, more public works, garbage pickup, and that, well, hopefully it won't go up, but we have to provide those services for people. So I'm okay with the 3.65 as we go forward, and that's really all I have at this point, Mayor.
Right. I would echo what has been said. Every year, the budget book comes out on the 15th of July. At that point, every budget for every department is visible. And I read through the book every year, as do my colleagues, and it is really hard. I know that when you're not immersed in it, it seems like, well, there must be a bunch of stuff going on that could just be axed. But what we axe comes back next year. Okay, there have been years when we've cut resurfacing the roads. But what that does is, that means double the amount of roads is still unsurfaced the next year. It doesn't go away. You can buy time on a one-off, but there's no real upside to that. Now the pavement materials are higher, the labor's higher, and the cost has gone up, and now you've got twice as much to do. And so we have to keep moving down this path, and the big drivers are things like the new fire station means an entire new crew. It's like taking our staff and almost doubling it. We've been planning for this for more than 5 years. We haven't taken out loans and saddled the citizens with debt service. When the fire station was built here, a bond was issued. That's how it was paid for. But then it meant that the citizens every year pay the bond service, including interest, in their taxes. We have not taken out debt since this, members of the council in 2019, that's 3 of us, and the city manager who joined in 2019. Since 2019, we have taken out no additional debt for DeBary. All we've done is pay down the debt we had
had on the books when we arrived, and it was around 8 million. And by the end of next year, when 3 of us leave the dais, it will be less than 1 million. And as the city manager said, probably within the 2 years after that, that 1 million is scheduled to be paid out. Now, at one point, I thought, well, it'd be good to pay off the debt faster, right? No. We had to recast some of that debt because the previous councils had put a balloon payment on that debt. So I said, we want to do that way before we get to the balloon payment. You never want to react up against a deadline. It takes away any of your leverage. So we did it almost 2 years prior. We recast the debt almost 2 years prior to the balloon. And we got, by my recollection, 1.66% interest. I'm not in a hurry, even though I look forward to the day that DeBerry is debt-free. I'm not in a hurry to accelerate paying off debt at 1.66%.
Actually, 1.408.
Is it, which is it? 1.4, I remember too high. It's 1.4. In this market, money we keep in our coffers and we don't send to retire that 1.4 debt makes us money, right? Because there's not been a 1% interest rate for many years. And so we are plodding through that process, but we will end up with this city being debt-free while keeping the millage the lowest anywhere. Now, housing values are going up. Incomes are going up. Housing values are going up. This is the economy that we're in. And so it is true that the housing value means that even our lowest in Volusia, we're not among the lowest, we're the lowest by far. That still means that it costs you more, depending on how your house is valued and what the difference is, and I assume it's homesteaded and protected by the 3% rule, which means they cannot increase your taxable amount by more than 3% any 1 year. So that generally is a system that blunts the effect, because even if housing prices in DeBerry went up by 5% this year, yours can only go up, your valuation can only, that you're taxed on can only go up 3. It's part of Save Our Homes, implemented many years ago. So these are the factors that come into it. Now, it is true on the back of your trim notice, there was an increase in garbage fee. That was a 7-year contract that had to be renewed, and costs are up since 7 years ago. They're up for labor, they're up for fuel, they're up for trucks. And so the cost went up per household for the year by a small amount, less than, by recollection, $15 a month or something. That is part of your, when you turn from the back to the front, the bottom line includes those charges on the back, which is your stormwater and your trash. And if you're using that for your comparison, that would skew that. But I'm assuming that you just looked at the trim line and that you did the math correctly. It does go to the valuation of your house, which is, as has been pointed out, something outside of our control. But it does mean that your actual dollars increase, and we understand that. But there's no way that we can keep decreasing to make up for value increases, because we still have to cover these services. And each of these services, as Councilmember Pappalardo says, have gone up more than the actual dollars that we've received in excess of the prior years. And so that's the conundrum for us. None of us like to increase taxes, but we also have to run the city responsibly. And so that is where we are. And next year, I would encourage you to look at the budget, which is published online. You don't even have to come in here. In total, when it's issued at July 15th, the city manager has no leeway. He must deliver that to us by July the 15th. And that is the starting point budget. And then we work through it methodically. We are now down to the last 2 votes now in the middle of the month. and we have worked as hard as we can to figure out how we do this budget. So I wanted you to have that background. I know it doesn't change how you feel about it, and I wanted you to feel heard. But those are some of the other factors. Is there any additional discussion? Councilmember Sell.
I knew Jim was going to cover most of everything, and he's way more elegant at putting that out there. I will say, I don't know if you're retired or not, but I know that if you are retired in Florida, you are getting squeezed from every different angle. And you can't just work an extra 5 hours overtime to pay for the increase in your taxes. I do know if you moved anywhere else in Volusia County, you're going to start paying double in taxes. You are living in the safest city in Volusia County, if not the state of Florida. You are going to be paying for some of those services, and every year they increase. I don't have an easy answer. I hate raising taxes even $1. I do. But with all the growth that you see in the city of DeBary, it's not free. It comes at a cost, and we have to pay for it. It's just the way things are right now in Florida with the growth that we're having. I think it's squeezing retired people out. I know that's one of the reasons why they want to try to get rid of property taxes. I know that would be a good start for some retired folks. I know you go out and shop at grocery stores, everything has increased 50% in the last 5 years. It's been crazy. Every one of our estimates that we have out there and what it's going to cost to have something done has doubled. We have not come under budget on anything recently, any of our estimates. They've always increased. And we have a fine line there on balance on city services and taxes. And honestly, Liz over there, looking for fat in our budget, it's like trying to find that on a potato. It just doesn't exist. There's no fluff in our budget. I wish there was, but there's really nothing that we spend money on that we could just cut out and not have that make a difference in somebody's life. I wish there was an easy answer for you. We do understand. We fight up here all the time to try to keep our taxes as low as possible because none of us want to see taxes raised. But overall, in the state of Florida, everything that used to cost 50 cents is now $1. And I know you feel that. I do. I don't have an answer for folks that are retired. This used to be a place where you come down here, retire. Buying a house was cheap. Living expenses was cheap. You had to deal with some mosquitoes, but overall, it was heaven for people who were retired. My parents moved down here, and life was great. The house we sold up there up north was $300,000. We could buy a castle down here for $150,000. But now it seems like the chickens have come home to roost, and it seems like now everything is way more expensive in the state of Florida than it used to be. And we're up here trying to juggle that. And I wish I had an easy answer for you and say, let's just cut the fire department out. But you all know, everyone knows we need emergency services and everything. They want to raise in their pay. Our employees, we have some of the best employees in Volusia County. They need a raise. You got to pay to keep good employees. You got to pay for fire services. You got to pay for the police. And all of that has gone up. Probably about $500,000 just this year alone for fire and police. It's got to come from somewhere, and unfortunately, we're going to dig into your pocket to help pay for that. And they're digging into my pocket to help pay for that. Nobody's going to go unscathed, it seems. I really didn't want to talk because I didn't want to make everybody go home and kick their dog for all the bad news, but I don't see an area in our budget where we could help you eliminate the 18% that you're seeing every year. Nothing has gone down in the last 4 years. Everything is doubled. Everything is doubled. It takes 31 months now to get a fire engine. And that price is almost doubled for a fire engine. So I sounds like I'm full of excuses, but I'm just giving you reality, and the reality is horrible. I really wish I had a better answer for you. I apologize. I do. That's all I got.
Mayor?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 2025-13 to set the tentative millage rate of 3.65 for the collection of ad valorem taxes for fiscal year 2025-2026. The tentative millage rate is 3.65%, is 10.82% higher than the rollback rate of 3.2935.
Second.
Vice Mayor Butland?
Yes.
Councilmember Papalardo?
Yes.
Councilmember Sell?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Item number 2 for a public hearing is the city manager is requesting the city council adopt resolution number 2025-14 to approve the tentative annual operating budget for fiscal year 2025 to 2026. City manager, I know you went over much of it in the original presentation. After our city attorney reads resolution 2025-14, are you presenting further?
No.
Okay. City Attorney, would you read resolution number 2025-14?
Yes, Mayor. Resolution number 2025-14, a resolution of the City of DeBary, Volusia County, Florida, adopting a tentative annual operating budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2025, and ending September 30, 2026, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion about the budget? I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-14 to approve the tentative annual operating budget for the fiscal year 2025-2026.
Second.
Vice Mayor Butland?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson?
Yes.
Councilmember Papalardo?
Yes.
Councilmember Sell?
Yes.
And I am a yes. This being the first meeting of the month, which is our regular council meeting, there's time for public participation on items not on the agenda. City Clerk, do we have anyone speaking on items not on the agenda?
No, ma'am, we do not.
Okay. The next item is approval of minutes. We have the special city council meeting of July 15th, the city council workshop of August 6th, the city council meeting of August 6th, city council workshop of August 20, and the special city council meeting of August 20. Is there any discussion? I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as listed.
Second.
Councilmember Stevenson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Butland?
Yes.
Councilmember Papalardo?
Yes.
Councilmember Sell?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Are there any additions, deletions, or amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, we are moving on to agenda item number 8. The staff is requesting the city council approve the time extension change order request for fire station, what?
That's under consent agenda.
Oh, excuse me, yes.
I was gonna say.
Consent agenda.
I'll make
Okay,
it-
items 8, 9, and 10,
And
and 11
I'll make a
are
motion.
on the consent agenda, will be handled with one vote.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent item number 8, 9, 10, and 11.
Second.
Vice Mayor Butland?
Yes.
Councilmember Sell?
Yes.
Councilmember Papalardo?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson?
Yes.
And I am a yes. We move on to public hearings, agenda item number 12. The staff is requesting the city council approve a variance from the side yard setback requirements of the Swallows Planned Unit Development PUD for the lot addressed as 554 South Pine Meadow Drive. This is a quasi-judicial hearing. It is required by resolution number 1521 for me to review the order of business. So the order of business will be as you see on the screen. We will swear in witnesses, disclosure of ex parte communications by the council, then the staff will present the proposal, up to 10 minutes allowed for that. The applicant will have up to 15 minutes to respond, may reserve any portion of the 15th for rebuttal. The public will have a chance to make comments. If there are public comments, then there will be the rebuttal period by the applicant, which may be 10 minutes plus reserve time. Then the council will discuss and comment, and there will be an action taken. So if you intend to speak on this agenda item in any way and you are not a licensed attorney, please stand to be sworn in. Attorneys are always deemed to be sworn in.
You swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next we move on to disclosure of ex parte communication. City Clerk, would you poll the council?
Councilmember Sell.
Yes, I know this individual, been to his house. I have seen the markers and how far off they are from the actual property line. So yes, I have been to the home. I've spoken to Chris, and I know pretty much everything that's going on.
Councilmember Papalardo,
No ex parte communication.
Councilmember Stevenson,
None.
Vice Mayor Butland,
None for me.
and I have none. Okay, that would bring us to the presentation by city staff.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Stephen Bapp, Growth Management Director, City of DeBerry, for the record. The request is a request from Harrington Homes, is requesting a variance from the side yard setback of 1.7 feet of the Swallows Glen Abbey Plan Unit Development for 554 South Pine Meadow Drive. In addition, a variance of 1.2 feet from the LDC Section 6.1F will also be necessary, as there is a platted 7.5 utility easement on the same encroached side of the property. Background, as many are well aware, this subdivision goes back to 1972 when it was brought into existence, and side yard setbacks were established at that time. There were several variations to the PUD, but none of the side yard setbacks had changed. And fast forward to 1994, the Glen Abbey Unit 4, Section B, which this property is part of, was approved, recorded with the Volusia County Clerk of Circuit Courts. More immediate background on the problem set. On the 12th of July, we gave the property owner a building permit of 2022 to construct a home on 554 South Pine Meadow Drive, which is Lot 7 of Glen Abbey, Unit 4, Section B. Fast forward later, 2 years later, on the 11th of October, land surveyors were conducting a boundary survey and discovered an incorrect monumentation for the recorded plat. This incorrect monumentalization from the recorded plat had resulted in the partially constructed building to encroach 1.7 feet into a side yard setback of the eastern boundary of the property, and also a 1.2 encroachment into a platted drainage easement. This year, the applicant put forward a variance packet for a 1.7 foot setback from the side yard requirement, and also staff had discovered that the requirement for a variance from a 1.2 foot encroachment into a utility and drainage easement would also be required. The entire development review committee, including the city engineer, fire marshal, building official, and the planning staff, discussed the item and unanimously recommended that city council approve this item. This is a corner lot as indicated on the slide. It is in the light blue or teal in the center of the lot, and it has basically two neighbors. The rest are bounded by streets. When we look at a variance, we're looking at what he's trying to do. And I already stated a 1.7 foot side yard setback requirement, and also he would need a 1.2 setback into the utility easement variance to be granted as well. Where this is, it's on the lower, I guess it would be the southeast corner. There's a double monument placed, and I'll show you a visual representation of what that means. This is a very unusual circumstance, and in my 15 years of public planning work, I've not ran across this. We look at all criteria outlined and the powers given by the City Council. We look at our LDC Section 3.11b, which outlines our criteria which must be reviewed, and all evidence must, and all evidence presented must meet the criteria and conditions described. The first thing we look at is the physical condition of the property resulted in a particular hardship, and in this case I would definitely say it does. A letter stated from a registered surveyor showed and proven that there was a double monumentation on the subject property. We have photographic evidence, and staff has also reviewed the evidence in person on the site. This discrepancy was discovered during the construction of the proposed dwelling and associated inspections and requests for boundary surveys. This illustration shows the discrepancy of 3 feet 6 inches from what was platted versus what actually exists. The big square concrete block you see on the film was the original concrete monument, but that was improperly placed. The orange, surveying flag you see on the right side of the picture is actually where the boundary stake should have been. So this discrepancy was not due to the fact of the applicant or the property owner, but actually from a previous about 30-year-old survey that was done and improperly placed monument that was put on the property. This is just another illustration between the an original stake placed off that monument and where the actual survey stake should have been. As you see, it's a clear, that's a standard 6-foot wide fence panel. And so you can see that the 3 feet 6 inches is clearly illustrated in this, the discrepancy is clearly illustrated. Also, we look at are unique to the parcel and are generally unique to the property and not associated with other properties in the vicinity. This monumentization is a rare phenomenon. It was not discovered in any construction of any of the Glen Abbey subdivision lots, but only rarely put on this one subject property itself. The plight of the landowner is due to a unique circumstance and is not a result of his or her own action. Yes, this criteria has been met. The property owner did not improperly place the original boundary marker. That was done by an outside party, and the plat was registered at the county, and it's nothing due to his doing. If granted, it would be the minimum variance. Yes, definitely is the minimum variance. He would have to move his entire structure to be in compliance, which is untenable. He is only having a variance of 1.7 feet from the side yard setback, and also a 1.2 foot from the platted utility easement, which is the minimum that can be accomplished by this variance. The variance is not solely based on economic hardship. No, it is not. The purpose of the requested variance would not appear to be based exclusively on an economic hardship. Then also we look at anything detrimental to the general public or injurious to other property owners. The granting of this variance would not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to other persons. There is a 7.5 drainage and utility easement that is proposed that would be encroached on by 1.2 feet. Volusia County Utilities has stated, as they're part of the DRC, that this encroachment would not impact their infrastructure. Also, the City Engineering Department has not objected to this encroachment on the drainage easement. The proposed variance would be consistent with provisions of the comprehensive plan and purposes of the LDC, and staff finds that this variance is consistent and compatible with our comprehensive plan goals, objectives, and policies. Staff recommendation and the conclusion of the Development Review Committee. It is recommended the City Council approve the requested 1.7 foot variance from the side yard setback of the Glen Abbey PUD and provide a variance for an additional 1.2 foot encroachment into the drainage and utility easement, which is outlined in LDC section 6.1F. Thank you. That concludes staff's evidence.
Thank you. Applicant?
Good evening, all. That was my argument, pretty much. He eloquently put together. I've been building for 29 years.
Name and address, name and position or address for the record. Thank you.
It's Chris Wallington.
Thank you.
The address is 554 South Pine Meadow Drive.
Thanks.
And as I was saying, I've been building for 29 years. I've never, ever seen an incorrectly placed monument. The best that I can think of is someone put it in a platted position rather than a field measurement position. I can't really blame my surveyor, although I guess ultimately it would be his responsibility when I first got it done. But I would have pulled measurements off of that monument myself. It's tagged, everything. There's really nothing that could have been done any differently. It's upsetting because if you look at the I even did pretty pictures for everybody. But if you look at the survey, my north corner on the same east boundary is exactly where I wanted it to be at 9.5 feet. And if you actually take the measurement from the incorrect monument, it's exactly would have been 9.5 foot setback. John, my neighbor, I don't see him. He was going to be here. He's the only one that the boundary I share the boundary with. I can't speak for him, but he had no objection at the time. But it's unfortunate. But yes, as you said, it's an unusual situation. Like I said, I've never seen it before. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We do have public participation. Gary Cruz, name and address for the record.
Gary Cruz, 234 Caddy Court, in the beautiful city of DeBary, Florida. This whole thing, as I got studying and looking at it, it kind of brought up the whole picture, not just this particular house, all right? And let me go back and do a little bit of research on something. And let's talk about the city inspector duties. This is from the DeBary website. The city inspectors perform various tasks related to ensuring the adherence to local codes and standards. They're primarily responsible for inspecting building, construction sites, and public infrastructure to ensure they meet safety and zoning regulations. Hey. The city inspector, I'm not going to go through his daily duties, you know those. So it goes on that they review and approve plans that meet building codes, local ordinances, zoning regulations, contract specifications, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's my understanding that Chris did all through this, all the inspections were made and approved all the way down the line. If the city inspectors do this and approve it, if they make a mistake, there's no consequence of that mistake. They have no consequences. They have a responsibility, but that is it. No accountability whatsoever. So it makes me question why we need to position in the first place. That's all I have.
Thank you. All right. With no further comment, did you want to rebut? You have a right to say more things? Okay. Councilmember Sell.
I just have to add that if anything uncommon was to happen, it would happen to one of my friends. I've been to Chris's house, and they've been building it for a while, and it's been one hurdle after another for him. So, yeah, I'm okay to approve this.
Councilmember Pappalardo.
I'm just thankful that it didn't go into another property entirely, so there's a little silver lining. Otherwise, I think outside of the variance request, of course, it seems compliant. I'm not concerned. Thank you.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Yes, I would agree with the staff's assessment on this. It was of no fault of you as the homeowner. I'm not sure how the answer would be for the inspection. I would assume that it's the builder and homeowner's responsibility for the inspection, and the city doesn't really come in until later, and that's when we actually caught it, was later when the city had to come in, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. But again, no fault of your own, and fortunately, it's not too far into another property, and the utility easements, they seemed fine with that. It's not going to impact them, so I don't have a problem with this.
Vice Mayor Butland.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no problem with this. I just want to make sure that we get in writing from Volusia County that it's okay for them to continue with what they're doing. I hate for them to go try and sell the property 10 years from now and have a major ordeal.
Right, we do have written comments.
Comments written? Okay. I know you guys.
From the principals of the Volusia County Utility.
I trust our staff tremendously to get that done, but I always have to think in the back of my
But just for the
head.
record, it is part of the process.
Yes.
For them to provide written comment.
Written comment. I just want to make sure we have that in writing. I attend DRCs a lot, so as long as we have that, I have no problem with this. I understand it's an issue, but we're resolving it, so I appreciate that.
I believe that it meets all of the criteria for a waiver. In particular, I hone in on, is it the cause of the owner action or inaction, and I don't believe that's the case here. And I did have a question about any neighbor's feedback. A neighbor that truly cared would show, and had a problem with it, would have showed up, I'm sure. As far as the inspectors, I don't think the inspectors redo surveys necessarily, and so I'm not sure that I would lay that at inspectors' feet. But I believe that it meets the criterion in the code for a waiver, and I don't have an issue with it. So if there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the variance from the side yard setback requirements of the Swallows Planned Unit Development, PUD, for the lot addressed as 554 South Pine Meadow Drive.
Clarification, do we need a secondary variance for the 1.2 utility easement?
Or
I
do we need
recall
the
seeing two
measurements of the
items.
variance in the
Yes, and
motion?
an additional 1.2-foot variance from
Okay,
the,
that wasn't on the agenda.
And the measurement is not in this,
It's not in our book.
It's not in-
it should be, could we go
Goes
back
toward
to
the
the slide
beginning.
presentation, please?
I will amend my motion.
okay. Give it a go. There, okay.
Bear with me, please.
There was a 1.2 on that slide.
That's it.
This is it.
All right, so I recommend approval of the request of 1.7-foot variance.
You're
from-
making a motion
A
now.
motion, I'm sorry.
Yes.
For the 1.7-foot variance from the side yard setback of the Glen Abbey PUD for an additional 1.2 feet variance from the LDC Section 6.2 feet F.
Is there a second?
Second.
Vice Mayor Butlin?
Yes.
Councilmember Papalardo?
Yes.
Councilmember Sell?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson?
Yes.
And I am a yes. So the next item is new business. The city manager is requesting City Council approve a work authorization to PNS Paving, Inc. for pavement management services for the 2025 street resurfacing project.
Good evening, Mayor Chazé, Vice Mayor Butlin, Councilmember Stevenson, Councilmember Papalardo, and Councilmember Sell. My name is Kevin Hare, and my company is K. Hare Construction Services. The City of DeBary is continuing to improve its roadway infrastructure and to maintain high level of service for DeBary residents and businesses. The staff continually monitors the roadways in the city to identify priorities for improvements and repairs. The 5 sites that have been selected for the 2025 street resurfacing project require resurfacing to maintain a smooth travel surface, which will reduce maintenance costs and maintain safe pavement conditions for the city's roadways. The roadways that are proposed for improvement under the 2025 street resurfacing project are East High Banks Road from Cunningham Road to Enterprise Road, and that is shown on the display at the far right of the upper right-hand corner of the screen. And on the far left at the top of the screen, the West High Banks Road from CSX Railroad to Gracie Road. And then the lower right corner, Palm Road from Gardenia Road to Dirksen Drive. And then East High Banks Road from Highway 1792 to Lucerne Drive. And also Fort Florida Road at Fire Station number 39. The City of DeBary piggyback agreement with PNS Paving is based on a Seminole County, Florida continuing contract with PNS Paving Incorporated. By public advertisement, Seminole County, Florida extended an invitation to bids IFB 604900-24/LNF for pavement management services on November 19th, 2024. On March 12th of 2025, PNS Paving was awarded a continuing contract for pavement management services by Seminole County, Florida. The proposed work authorization for the 2025 street resurfacing project is based on the pricing that was established under the continuing contract that PNS Paving Incorporated executed with Seminole County. PNS Paving is a well-known general construction company and paving contractor in Central Florida. PNS Paving has done work in the City of DeBary before on similar resurfacing projects and has produced a good product. And PNS Paving has completed also similar projects for FDOT, Volusia County, and many other municipalities in this region. Funding for the project, the proposed contract amount is $698,167.10. Funding for the 2025 street resurfacing project shall be from the Public Works Road Resurfacing Fund, PW-001-4100-541-4623, and also from the Local Option Gas Tax Fund, number 126. Recommendation is that City Council approve work authorization to P&S Paving Incorporated for the 2025 street resurfacing project for the not-to-exceed amount of $698,167.10. It's also recommended that City Council approve a 5% contingency budget to be established to provide funding for unforeseen conditions that may arise during the construction. As recommended, the recommended contingency amount is $34,900. So with the contingency amount included, the total budget for pavement management services for the 2025 street resurfacing project is $733,067.10. And the P&S Paving has indicated that they can start work sometime in the near future. I don't have an exact date, but hopefully by the end of September, they would be getting started, and it would take them probably 30 to 40 days or so to complete the whole project. So with that, I'd answer any questions you may have.
City Clerk, do we have public participation?
No, ma'am, we do not.
Councilmember Sell, questions or comments?
I was just gonna, you want to make a motion to approve and not exceed the amount of $698,167.10. But then the next line says, but we have to add a 5% contingency. So it actually brings it up to $733,000. I just was hoping it was worded a little differently than it is, I guess. Because you're saying don't exceed it, and then the next sentence you're saying, well, you might exceed it.
Well, I think the way we approach that is if the contingency is unexpected, but the contract's not to exceed $698,000. And then if there is unexpected items where we did boring testings and everything else on these particular roads, so there shouldn't be any surprises. However, if any circumstances come up where there's additional maintenance of traffic or there's some additional pavement that's needed, when they get into grinding the road, sometimes you get some unexpected subsurface conditions where they have to go back and repair it and do additional asphalt. So when you grind down, you'll find those conditions. Some of these roads, like Palm Drive, probably was last resurfaced 40 years ago. And so we don't, as you do your borings, but sometimes you get surprises that when you do grind down inch or inch and a half, there are certain conditions that were unexpected, and then you have additional expenses to repair that particular area before you can repave.
I got you. I was thinking maybe up to $733,000, but I guess.
Well, we don't anticipate spending the $34,000. That's only just in case we come across conditions that, rather than coming back to council, you give us the authority to, or give the city manager the authority to spend an additional $34,000 for the surprises or things that are unknown.
Okay, thanks.
Councilmember Papalardo?
No questions.
Councilmember Stevenson?
I'm glad we're getting back into resurfacing. I wish that it could have been more roads that were covered. I know I've gotten some feedback from residents. Well, our road hasn't been done in a long time either, so not directly related to this, but are there other maintenance techniques, like just putting tar on top of roads that would extend the life without fully resurfacing and grinding down and repaving, that maybe we should consider for other areas of the city?
Let me ask Kevin that, but usually we do those for parking lots to seal them to prevent water infiltration, and that will erode the parking lots faster. But do they do those for streets typically?
No.
In fact, the DOT doesn't have a specification for that type of treatment. It's done in parking lots and driveways, but it's definitely not done on public roadways.
So if residents are in other areas of the city and they're concerned about the road quality where their home is, should they just send us notifications to be possibly added to the list for consideration?
We go through the whole city. I mean, our focus obviously is our corridor streets where the highest amount of traffic goes. These are collector roads or arterial roads that we look at, and those are our primary main focus. And if we can take a small residential road that only serves 4 or 5 people, we'll pick those up in those particular areas. But again, we got so much of our arterial roads we got to do. I know I've had some folks that live on a cul-de-sac where there's 4 or 5 people. There's not much traffic on that particular road. Does it need to be done? Probably, but our first priorities are arterial roads or these collector roads where most of the traffic is located at.
All right, thank you. No more questions.
Vice Mayor Butlin?
Thank you, Mayor. I neglected to get the answer to this before the meeting tonight, and I apologize. The High Banks 1792 by Walgreens there, we have a development coming in there. We're paving that road now, knowing that the development's coming in. Are they going to heavy trucks? What will that do to a new road?
Well, the development would likely have a road maintenance agreement. So if there is any damage to the road, then they would be responsible for making any repairs necessary. But the pavement on that section of roadway is in really poor condition. And developments, sometimes the timing isn't always as good as we anticipate. And I don't think it's something I don't think you can wait too long to do because of the amount of traffic. The average daily volume of traffic in that section of road is very significant.
Okay, because I remember them wanting to do turn lanes and all that stuff. I'd hate to put the money into a road that we know in a year is going to get resurfaced by the developer. I'm just making sure that we're understanding that coverage there. That's all I had, Mayor.
Their turning lane will be an additional pavement.
An additional pavement, okay.
And it'll be restriped, because there'll be a slight adjustment width-wise, but not necessarily in the middle of the street there.
Okay, I'm fine.
Okay, I do like when we pick up piggyback agreements, particularly one that was bid 10 months ago. That gives us current market pricing. Somebody else went through the whole process, which can delay the work forever. I mean, not forever, 3 months, 6 months, till you get through the proper authorized process for bidding such things. So I'm glad that we can pick up a piggyback unit on a piggyback agreement on someone that we've worked with before and found their work satisfactory. So I'm good with this. I can't wait for the section between Cunningham and Enterprise on East High Banks. That is absolutely the worst, although I did appreciate that Public Works filled in some of the worst eroded sections, which got much worse recently. So I would, if there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve work authorization to PNS Paving, Inc. for the 2025 street resurfacing project for the not-to-exceed amount of $698,167.10, as well as a 5% contingency budget in the amount of $34,900 for a total budget of $733,067.10.
Second.
Councilmember Papalardo?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson?
Yes.
Councilmember Sell?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Butlin?
Yes.
And I am a yes. This moves us to member reports and communication. Councilmember Sell?
I have nothing to report.
Councilmember Papalardo?
Almost 2 weeks ago, got to do ribbon cutting for AFK Accounting. That was a very nice little thing there. Hope the owner's feeling better. He had a medical event earlier that day.
Wow.
And then I would like to bring a little attention to flag signage that has caught my ire once again. There is a smoke shop that is in immediate vicinity of the splash pad, and I think its advertising material is generally inappropriate to be that close. It's also non-compliant with advertising standard on 1792. This is not the first time this entity has done this in violation of covenants or whichever it is. That's all.
Thank you. Councilmember Stevenson?
Nothing to report, thank you.
Vice Mayor Butlin?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple things. I did attend the ribbon cutting as well, and I also attended the Volusia League of Cities advocacy training, which is hardcore getting into the weeds and dealing with people that outside of our delegates, the locally. So I'm hoping that that continues. I also want to bring to our attention, and maybe put it on an agenda item for the next time, to give our city manager more authority, since everything is going up accordingly, from 35,000 to 50,000.
Well, he's at 25 now, correct?
No, he's at
You're
35.
35.
Okay.
And then the 3-quote requirement, which is 5,000, should go to probably 10,000, and allow them for emergency provisions like the AC at Gateway. By the time it comes to us and go that, if he has that authority for more, everything's getting costly. So the 5,000 just doesn't make sense anymore, where we're talked about budgeting and costs to bring that up. So it's something I'd like to see on an agenda.
Okay, let's see if there's consensus. Would there be consensus to add to the agenda consideration as to whether the spending authority and the bidding thresholds should be adjusted within our codes?
Definitely discussion worthy.
Okay, so you're willing to discuss it? None of us needs to take a position on this. It needs to be a discussion.
Right.
And not everybody will have the same view, perhaps.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
But I think we need to
Okay, we have
bring it up.
consensus, city manager, so would you add that to an upcoming agenda?
And then just to remind everyone, there was a pancake breakfast on Sunday from 7:30 to 11 right in Florence K. Little. Enjoy them. I won't be there, but enjoy.
Okay. We have discussed the very attractive, in our view, green paint used throughout Seminole to increase pedestrian and bike safety. And in fact, studies that I've seen all point to street art and things like the green color in crosswalks as leading statistically to safer streets for all. And in fact, we have a whole statewide campaign through FDOT and the TPOs and other entities on increasing pedestrian and bike safety because the stats in Florida for injuries and death are too high. However, there has been a change in the federal and the state guidance that is now being implemented and enforced. And that resulted in Seminole removing the green. What is the change? The city manager, at my request, has gotten the documentation. I got at TPO, a representative of FDOT and I had an exchange where he explained that there was a federal guidance that came out this spring and that there was now state guidance that says that the green may only be used on areas that are bike-only paths. Well, we also have an emphasis on multi-use trails. So anything that there's a crosswalk serving a multi-use trail, you cannot use the green. However, you may use them for bike-only facilities, and I discussed with the city manager coming out of that discussion at the TPO that we may be able, FDOT has in mind redoing 1792 in 2026. They put it off a year. And at that time, I think, trying to remember what I saw on the boards that they did in their public outreach, I think that there is a small bike lane adjacent to the travel lanes on 1792. In any such instance on 1792 when they redo it, I would like to see, and this is for information now, we could certainly discuss it another time. I would like to see us petition FDOT to put the green in the bike lane. Having bikes on 1792 is scary to me to begin with. If that is the one, and that is clearly not a pedestrian corridor. The pedestrians are on the sidewalk. So I think it meets the criterion, and the city managers provided it to you in the handout that you got. I think that it is clear that that is only for bikes if we have such areas. This would also apply to, in my view, Enterprise or Dirksen. On Dirksen, I don't think we will have that because we have an expensive, broad, beautiful, shaded trail, but that does not seem to dissuade certain bike enthusiasts from riding singularly or in groups along Dirksen on the pavement. But should we ever have a bike line marking on any of these streets, I would strongly support doing the solid green. It really undercuts what we had hoped to do more generally to emphasize pedestrian and bike safety. In my view, it goes against the studies that have been done, but we're not going to change the powers that be here in DeBary, I don't think. I think we have to operate within what's given to us. So this was the result of the city manager's research after I came back with that discussion. In addition to that, I did throw out the first pitch at the Tortugas game, something that Councilmember Sell and Councilmember Papalardo has done before. It was a lot of fun. And this year, the head of Rotary also works at the stadium several times, when they have a home stand several times during that week. And so she was aware of the ability to have, for a cost, to have access to the VIP tent with the open barbecue and drinks available, and you did not even need to go to your seat. So she made this, the Rotary came for their social event. There was perhaps 30 of them there. We had picnic tables assigned. I was their guest there and did go out and throw out the first pitch. Kat Atwood, who once served as a commissioner in Port Orange, did the signing for the national anthem, which was sung by Caitlin Healy out of DeLand, who is a DeLandite who's very involved in Rotary there. So it was a very nice evening. I also attended the Gateway Luncheon recognizing the contributions of Sandra Wilson. And some of you may remember Sandra Wilson from the early days of Gateway. She was a driving force, a force to be reckoned with, and it was her determination that largely led Gateway to be the organization that it is today. Terry Hogue was her successor. And it was very nice. Her husband was there. He is extremely elderly, but he was able to speak from a seat, just to say he was glad to be there and proud of his wife. And their children were there. And then there were people who had worked with the art group over all the years, and a lot of appreciation for her. And I did go in Seminole to the Harvest Time Nonprofit Center ribbon cutting. This was put on by the Sanford Chamber, but what I'd like people to know, both people here and the general public, this nonprofit center is available. You have to register and be a 501c3, including churches, and you get access to this large building with supplies that have been donated to Harvest Time, a very large organization. You're given a box about like this. You can put as much in that box as you can cram in out of all of their supplies, and it costs you as a nonprofit $10. So this is a very economical way for someone who's running a church preschool or something to get supplies, snacks, small things for student recognition, but they also have foodstuffs, so it can add to food pantries. Many things, and they figure that you can get up to $150 worth of normal retail stuff in the box, depending on what the thing is. So I would mention that, and if any of you have contacts with 501c3s, including churches, you may want to make them aware of this facility. It's quite large, well-stocked, but you can't just walk in and say, here's my letter. You have to register ahead of time. There are 3 times a week that it's open, and there is some order to the process. But that seems to me to be a good resource that hasn't had a high profile here. That would be it for me, City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. On this document that I provided you here, P&S Paving just does temporary paving markings on the road. We have to come back with a proposal for thermoplastic, which lasts a lot longer. So when we do, for example, West High Banks, we will do some of those crosswalks in front of there where the trail is. We were planning on doing green, but now they'll be just white. And so I would recommend doing the latter design, which to me is the most visible, so that we can do all those, including in front of the park, because that you got a trail and then you got the park coming out as well. That has no markings whatsoever. And also the crosswalk that's crossing West High Banks, when the trail crosses West High Banks, significantly doing that as well. So we'll be coming back with a thermoplastic proposal for your consideration to come back after the temporary markings to make those markings permanent. And so that's, just want to let you know that if it's okay with you, I think the latter design provides the most visibility to drivers, even though they're all white. It will provide the most visibility on all that areas to where the bike pedestrian trail intersects those intersections there.
Okay,
That's all I got.
all right. City Attorney, anything to report?
No report. Thank you, Mayor, Council.
Hearing nothing additional, we stand adjourned.